The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. It's your midweek fix for racing news and information. Brought to you by the Championship Racing Network. Now let's head trackside to join your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson.
Welcome into the latest edition of Crossed Flags. Appreciate you joining us here. Hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend as we are kind of getting back into the swing of things after a 3-day holiday weekend. We're actually recording this on Memorial Day. Hope you had a very happy one and did take some time to remember those who gave their life in service of our country, whether they are family members or whether you never knew them. But let's face it, a lot of people did. There's no doubt about it. And on that note, let's take a look at this holiday weekend here and look at it from the racing standpoint, because after all, Matt, we are a racing podcast. And we had a whole lot of things trying to get going. And I say trying to get going because Mother Nature played a little bit of a role in this as well. And it kind of led us into thinking about maybe trying to do something of a best and worst, if you want to put it that way. I think you and I can both agree that from what we talked about last Saturday morning on the big show, which was dominated with Kyle Busch talk, the way that Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the way that Charlotte Motor Speedway dealt with that, both were very, very classy.
They were actually, in my opinion, they were beyond classic.
Yeah. So
they got it right.
Yeah. So we'll make that as an understood best of. Okay, making the best of a worst situation, of a really, really bad situation. So that brings us to our best and worst, and I think let's get the bad news out of the way first. Let's start off with the worst here. Rip the Band-Aid right off, Matt. Your worst of the weekend. What to you was the worst of the Memorial Day holiday weekend?
The worst of the racing over the Memorial Day was, for me, bar none, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And I'm not talking about anything with Lane Riggs winning the race. He played the cards like he was dealt.
Sure, absolutely. You could say the same thing for Daniel Suarez, for that matter. I mean, rain shortened and, artificially not going the full distance. Yeah, we could say the same thing.
Ross Chastain as well with the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series.
Also
race.
True, yeah.
But it's not anything dealing with Lane winning the race. The absolute hands down worst thing ever is Fox Sports getting the NASCAR persuaded to put a time limit on the race and call it adverse conditions when there was absolutely no adverse conditions whatsoever.
No,
they cut the race short to where it didn't interfere with their Indy 500 broadcast when it was on a completely different network.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's inexcusable.
For all the things that we have seen, and I even saw it, I want to say yesterday afternoon, towards the end of the Indy 500, in the fact that they put a little note on the bottom that the UFL football game that was supposed to go on right after the Indy 500 coverage had already started on FS1. Guess what? You can put, hey, Indy 500 coverage has started on Fox Sports or on Fox. You can do that. And if people that want to change over can change over.
That was absolutely inexcusable. And it tells you where Fox's priorities lay. And if it's me, and if I've got some sort of a play into it, I'm immediately getting with Fox, and I am dissolving the contract and dispersing the broadcast amongst the other networks throughout the remaining part of this deal.
Or see
that's inexcusable.
Go see if CBS wants it. Go see if ABC, ESPN wants it. Go see if somebody else wants it.
Amazon Prime would take it in a heartbeat.
They probably would take it in a heartbeat. I mean, you can go with your existing partners or just open it up and say, hey, listen, we're going to stop running this with Fox because we're getting the back seat for IndyCar. And I understand that their priorities are with IndyCar, but hey, we got to look out for our own best interest here at NASCAR. Yeah.
Absolutely got to.
Yep, I agree. Mine is somewhat related to what you were just talking about as we switch from Matt's worst to my worst of the weekend.
The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Crossed Flags.
We like to joke about it, but unfortunately it's not all that funny. If you need rain in your area, schedule a NASCAR race. Whew. You want to talk about getting it in spades. in Charlotte, North Carolina or really in the southeastern part of the country last night. There's a shot that producer John's going to show you that shows the weather radar for the Charlotte, North Carolina area. This is about 11 o'clock last night, Eastern time. And you can tell where Concord is, and you can see that it was really just starting to inch right over there. And that's what we saw all weekend long. And I say this piggybacks off the Truck Series thing because you got to remember something. We talked about it on the big show on Saturday morning. Truck Series race got rained out Friday night. Couldn't do it. Saturday, got the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race in, but it had to be shortened by rain. They were planning on running the Truck Series after it. Guess what? Rained out again. Had to do it on Sunday morning. And then we got our Coca-Cola 600 shortened. Granted, not by anywhere. We really can't complain. We got, 367 laps in, 370 laps in, give or take?
It was 26 laps short, so that's 374.
74. So we got 374 out of 400 laps in. That's not bad, all things being equal. But at the same point in time, would have been cool to have seen if Daniel Suarez, who ends up winning it, spoiler alert, could have been able to hold it off for another 26 laps. That kind of a drama. Rain shortened races are always somewhat a little bit disappointing. But at the same time, they still hand the trophy to the driver. And I'm not taking anything away from Daniel Suarez. Not a dang thing. Because for him in that Chevrolet, which all race long really had kind of taken a back seat to watching the Toyota Brigade just dominate the thing, for him to park that Chevrolet in victory lane and be in the right place at the right time, congratulations to him and his crew for making the right calls.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Absolutely. Mother Nature, stop getting involved. Good night. Now we're getting into the summertime where that's going to become a heck of a lot more prevalent too, unfortunately. All right. So yeah, we understood that the best of was the Kyle Busch coverage. Other than that, Matt, where are you going for the best of the weekend?
Well, because there were three things that stood out to me as really good all weekend. I had to go 1A, 1B, 1C.
By all means.
I couldn't decide. But 1A for me, and because I am being a competitor like I am a staunch, stern, however you want to call it, believer in the ultimate way to pay respect to a fallen competitor.
Okay.
And that is going to be how they ran the missing man formation, not just for one lap, but for 2 laps.
Yes.
And that's going to be the first image that I sent to John.
Yeah. That, I got to admit, very, very impressive. You don't see it often, thankfully. But yeah, when you look at it there, pace car out in front, this is backstretch, correct? At Charlotte?
Yes, that's halfway down the backstretch. And the thing that was it took me, when I was looking and watching it took me a second, but it just it slapped me like a brick on a rope across the forehead. I don't think a lot of people caught on very quickly that on the outside of the row right there where Ty Gibbs is, that is the former 18 car.
Yes, it's the former 18 car, number 1, and number 2. How many times did we see Kyle Busch winning a number 54 for Joe Gibbs Racing in what was then the Nationwide or Xfinity series?
Xfinity, yeah.
So
right there,
it seemed overtly appropriate.
Yes, that hands down, bar none, no question. That's the ultimate way that a competitor pays their respects to a competitor, and you run the missing man, because I've been privileged in a sense of paying respect to someone. I've been privileged enough to run a missing man formation, and I know how Tyler Reddick probably felt. It'll put a lump in your throat.
All right, on to number 2.
1B was the overall Truck Series broadcast, with putting Eric Brennan in the booth. Eric Brennan, I'll say it this way, if Eric Brennan did not take Jamie Little's job out of that booth, Fox Sports has a problem. He absolutely nailed the broadcast from start to finish, all the way across the board from green flag to checkered flag.
Okay.
He knocked it out. He knocked it out of the park. And then with Bush's truck, it was going to be on the pole that Corey Day drove. He handled the situation. He handled that situation with the remembrance and the memorial and all the tribute stuff that they played. He handled it with top-notch professionalism and class, and he done it very quickly.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to go back and watch it. I've said it many times. I'm not a subscriber to Fox Sports' stuff, but this is something that I'm going to go back and I'm going to check out as soon as they post it up onto what I can access without having to subscribe to it. So, yeah, this is something that definitely has an interest in me.
Yes.
And
there was energy, there was professionalism, there was poignancy, calling stuff out, and there was even a different demeanor across the whole broadcast, even with Michael Waltrip in the booth, compared to when Jamie's there.
Love it.
But my third one is, I would have been crazy to not say this one, was the finish to the Indianapolis 500. That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it other than phenomenal.
I agree. Closest finish in IndyCar history, and the coverage of it in the aftermath, to see the celebration of Felix Rosenqvist, but yet the utter disappointment and the emotion that comes from it, and to be oh so close to claiming an Indy 500 and have it go away by just that much, 0.0233. Think about that. That's a ridiculous margin.
That's less than 5 feet.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous margin of victory. And you got to see both sides. You got to, ABC used to do the Wide World of Sports, and it used to be the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And we saw it right there in those two drivers that you're looking at in those cars.
Well, absolutely. And Will Buxton, absolutely, in a positive sense, he absolutely destroyed the last lap call. He nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Will Buxton, he's one of the best. He's very underrated in what he does.
He is evolving into that level that Lee Diffie's on.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly. My best of was something that you and I have been thinking about and watching over the course of time here. Last year, we were talking about him and how much this driver wanted to get better at the oval tracks, but he dominated on the road course races. And that, of course, is one Shane Van Gisbergen, SVG. Shane Van Gisbergen last night in Charlotte scored in each one of the stages. There's that number 97 car right there. And truth be told, the 42 car, you could throw a shout out to them too, because the guys at Legacy did a pretty good job too. But that number 97 car right there led 11 laps, was in the top 10 practically all night. And if we had been able to go an extra 26 laps, there's a possibility he could have literally been in the top 10 all night and finished with a top 10 result. Now, part of this is the fact that they gave him a good car. But at the same time, a driver who is not comfortable behind the wheel on an oval track, it doesn't matter how good of a car you give them, they're going to fade. SVG has gotten to the point where he is becoming, I don't think he's quite there yet, but he is becoming a really, really good, and this should scare the rest of the Cup Series, really, really good oval track racer.
He took, in my opinion, he took a huge leap last night. Huge.
Agreed. To do it for that length, that period of time, over the course of that long run, with the team following the changes of the track. And I don't know as it's necessarily as bad as it used to be when it comes from going in from daylight into night. I think these cars adapt themselves a little bit better. But at the same time, you still have to keep up with it over the course of the night. You have to make those little itty bitty changes. And his team was on it, and that driver was on it. So congratulations to that 97 crew.
There's honestly another one that I feel like I need to throw out there too.
By all means.
That I think that, I overlooked it and was thinking of on-track stuff. But probably, in my opinion, this probably number one, and the other ones are 1A, 1B, 1C. Was, I'm going to have to say, probably hands down, in my opinion, the best of the entire weekend is that America watched Brexton Bush grow up before their eyes.
Yeah, for an 11-year-old, wow.
That was astonishing.
Yeah, for an 11, I mean, it goes back to the understood best of the weekend, but to watch the pre-race ceremonies of the Coca-Cola 600 and have Steve O'Donnell bring out Brexton and Samantha Bush, mom and son, and it's almost like you watched him become the man of the house right there.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. And then when he kept his full composure when his buddy Owen Larson come up to him and gave him a pat on the shoulder and hugged his neck.
Yeah.
That America watched an 11-year-old become a man yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably if I were to do the honorable mention, something that we did talk about on the big show, but I think it's worth mentioning again. Richard Childress Racing parking the number 8 and saying, hey, Brexton, we're saving this for you. If you want to use this and you decide that, racing, and I honestly believe that he is going to do it, that he wants to become a racer for his life. But if you want the number 8, we'll give it to you when you get to the Cup Series. And based upon everything that I'm hearing between him and Keelan Harvick and some of these other kids of current racers, it wouldn't surprise me if we get a second/third generation of names that we know so well from right now that will be there within the next 10 to 15 years.
No doubt.
So that's kind of our best of and worst of Memorial Day weekend. What are your thoughts on it? Let us know. Comments. Love to have that. Also love to have the subscriptions down below. Thank you very much for doing that if you haven't already. And if you have, tell your friends about us. We appreciate it because we're on everywhere that basically we can find to put ourselves on at this point in time. We have our own CRN Live here on YouTube. And then, of course, we got Real Talk 99.5 on YouTube, Jocks 94.5 TV on YouTube. We're also on Spotify, so you can get the audio edition of it as well. Our thanks to producer Molly in the background, producer John, who did great work with those pictures on short notice. Matt, continue to get better. We need you to be back in the studio as soon as possible, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Hope you had a very happy and healthy Memorial Day weekend. We'll talk to you again on the big show this Saturday. Join us then, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time.
You've been listening to Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. For more content like this, subscribe to CRN Live on YouTube, and you'll be set to catch the 2-hour live show every Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.